Hello, everybody, and welcome to the November 3rd meeting of the Harbordale Civic Association. I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to put up the agenda. Our agenda for tonight is our very first guests will be Karen Warfel and Shelby Rodriguez from Transportation and Mobility of the City of Fort Lauderdale. And they will be presenting the preliminary design of the Cordova Road and 15th Street sidewalks and raised intersections. So I'm going to close this. And Shelby, do you need, you probably need sharing ability, right?
Please.
Okay, hold on just a minute. Shelby Rodriguez. More. Make a host. There you go, Shelby, you're a host.
All right, thank you. I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen. Thank you, Marilyn, for inviting us to the meeting tonight. I'm here tonight with Karen Warfel from the Transportation and Mobility Department. And tonight we are presenting the preliminary design plans for the Cordova Road and Southeast 15th Street intersection. So we wanted to give a quick summary of how we got here. So just as a friendly reminder for everybody on the call, I'm gonna go ahead and hide this thing real quick on my screen so I can see you all. There we go. So just as a reminder of how we got here so far. So there is remaining funds available left over from the Cordova Road Complete Streets project that was previously, planned for Cordova Road. That project got canceled, but there is funding left over to be spent on Cordova Road. We have done 3 community outreach meetings with the Harbordale and Lauderdale Harbors Associations on February 3rd, February 24th, and March 24th. And in these meetings, we presented a menu of traffic calming options of what could potentially be done to Cordova Road with those remaining funds. Some of the options that we presented included a raised intersection with accessibility improvements. We looked at ADA upgrades, a pedestrian crossing island with rectangular rapid flashing beacons. We explored a southbound right turn lane onto Southeast 17th Street, as well as new sidewalks. And after those community meetings, it was decided that the neighborhood's preference was to use the funds at the Cordova Road and Southeast 15th Street intersection. So right here, you see an image of Cordova Road and Southeast 15th Street. This is looking east. And before we jump into the design plans for this intersection, I wanted to show the group an image of the existing conditions of the intersection. So this is an aerial image. We have Cordova Road right here running north and south where my cursor's going. And we have Southeast 15th Street here that runs east and west. And just looking at this intersection right now and at this image, you can see it's a very car-centric roadway area. It's very programmed for vehicles. There's not a lot of pedestrian amenities. One key component of this intersection that the neighborhood has pointed out as a need is that there's currently no sidewalk connection here on the northeast corner. You'll see there's sidewalks on the remaining corners, but they're really not up to the best pedestrian standards. On this corner right here, we're missing a curb ramp, so it's not accessible for persons who may be physically impaired or somebody who perhaps might be pushing a stroller or a walker. And just looking at this image right now, I mean, there's faded pavement markings, there's very faded stop bars, there's no crosswalks present. And even the sidewalks that are existing are really, they're kind of intimidating to walk on because they're not protected by landscaping. And just looking at this, you can see that it's a very car-centric intersection that can feel very uncomfortable for pedestrians who are walking. So what the association's tasked TAM to explore further were these improvements listed right here. So we looked at implementing a raised intersection with ADA compliant curb ramps, sidewalks on the northeast corner, as well as crosswalks. And this right here is just an example of a raised intersection. I'm sure everybody on the call is familiar with what these look like. There are two, I believe, currently located in the Harbordale area. This right here is at Southeast 10th Ave and Southeast 15th Street. And this is kind of what we're looking at. So next I'm gonna go ahead and jump into the design plans. I'm gonna minimize this. And before we get started, I just want to give a disclaimer that we're going to look through a few different sheets in the preliminary design drawings. And then we're going to also jump to some edits that we've identified previously with the Harbordale and Lauderdale Harbors Associations. So this is one sheet of the preliminary design drawings. And we want to review this with the neighbors tonight to really receive your feedback and your inputs before any further steps are taken. So I'm going to walk us through this right now. And then once we're done, we will open up the conversation for questions and comments. So we see our north arrow right here. And I'll just orient us all to this drawing. So Cordova Road runs this way. So north is headed this way right here. And then we have east over here, west and south. So this is the roadway plan that the designer has put together. And I'm going to quickly go over the legend just so we can all understand what we're looking at, because there's a lot of different symbols on this plan. So this area with the arrows is what's identified as sod or grass. And then we have these dots or circles right here, which are really those detectable warning pads that you'll see at a lot of curb ramps off of a sidewalk. And then the gray area shows the area of the intersection that would be remilled and resurfaced. And then we have this brick pattern, which really is just stamping of asphalt. So it won't be actual bricks, but it would be stamped asphalt, which is better from a maintenance standpoint. And then we have our concrete sidewalk. So I'm going to zoom on out and bring us back over here. So we have, just looking at this plan, you'll see that the gray area is where the intersection would be remilled and resurfaced. And then we have this brick pattern again, that would be the raised intersection with the stamped asphalt, which really alerts the driver that this is a pedestrian zone. It's an area where you should slow down. The intersection itself will be raised, which physically slows cars down as they go over the intersection. The wheels of their car go up and it alerts the driver that you're at a different elevation and you should slow down. And then on each of these corners, you'll see we have sidewalks. So I'll start right here on the southeast corner. So this currently does have sidewalks, but what's different here is that the designers proposed having the detectable warning pads. On the northeast corner, this is an area right now where there are no sidewalks. So the proposal includes addition of new sidewalks with the detectable warning pads. And then right over here on the northwest corner, there are some changes here with new sidewalk curb ramps right here, new sod. And then also right here on the southwest corner, you'll see the sod and the sidewalk and the detectable warning pad. And then what's also on this intersection is that Harbordale logo, which we've seen at other locations within Harbordale. This is also a really nice community placemaking tool. It really stitches together the neighborhood as you drive down the street. We'll jump to that on the next sheet very quickly. So this is just a more detailed view of that Harbordale logo. For the raised intersection with that stamped asphalt, which looks a lot like a brick paver, which also creates a more pedestrian-friendly environment. And then I'm going to jump to the pavement marking plans, which is right here. And this really shows the signing and the pavement marking. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit closer. And again, this is just the preliminary design. After I go through this page, I'm going to jump to a second or a third PDF that we include some comments that we've already received from your boards, which were really great comments. But first, we're going to walk through this. So there's a lot of text on this plan, but you'll see the most kind of evident thing you'll see are new crosswalks, which don't exist at this intersection. So you have these they look like ladders, and really what they are is high visibility crosswalk striping. And it's the most impactful way to alert drivers that it is a pedestrian crossing zone. So you'll see that on all 4 legs of the intersection, there are proposed new crosswalks. There are these pavement markings right here, which I know my supervisor Karen gave a really great explanation of. These alert the driver as you're approaching. The pavement markings right here alert the driver to slow down as you approach the intersection. And then we have these arrow pavement markings as one approaches the intersection. So right here we have, again, the sidewalk with the detectable warning pad, the crosswalk that connects the pedestrian to each of the legs of the intersection. So right here is the northeast corner. Again, we have the northwest corner. And back over here are our southern corners. So we have the southwestern corner and the southeastern corner right here. And I'm going to quickly jump over to some of the comments we've received thus far from the board when we presented this last week. So this is right here, which these were really great comments when we talked with the group, which were really related to the detectable warning pads, which previously the designer had those the entire extent of the curb area. And the board made a really great comment that that's probably not the appropriate treatment because it could alert somebody who's visibly impaired to cross at a non-crosswalk marked location. So you can see we've suggested that those be treated right here on the crosswalks, right here as well on the northeastern corner. And then one of the really great comments that we heard was previously the design had the center logo very close to the southern crosswalk. It kind of overlapped and it didn't look visually appealing. So one suggestion is to move that logo further north, right here. And then the last comment is related to the curb ramp right here on the northwestern leg. And that comment related to moving the curb ramp further towards this way. So it's just more of a natural progression as you cross the sidewalk and travel this way. That's a very high level summary of the proposed design for this intersection. So if there are any questions or comments, we are happy to take those.
May I?
Buddy, certainly, go right ahead.
So I'm sorry, sometimes I get a little confused when you're southeast and whatever, but I guess on the I guess would be the northeast or the southeast corner, adding a sidewalk. And how far, that would be 15th Street. How far would that sidewalk go?
Sure, so the southeast corner is right here.
Okay.
And there currently is a sidewalk there. There's currently pavement right there. So this isn't proposing any changes to that sidewalk other than it would have the appropriate accessible curb ramps into the crosswalk.
But it doesn't go any further down the street, that sidewalk. That's what
Correct.
I mean. That street is a very narrow street. And I believe, let's see, I know some people on here live on that street, and I know that gets a little wonky down there trying to walk down that street. And I know you're trying to make it pedestrian friendly.
I think, you know, if we could, we would certainly love to extend the sidewalk the entirety of the street, but because of the amount of funding we have available, we can't extend it
So
further.
you're just basically making it so there's more, I guess, handicap accessible with the little warning bumps on the ground.
Yes, so this really just makes it so that it's easy to access
With a wheelchair, strollers.
Yep, exactly. With a wheelchair, with a stroller, with a walker, a bicycle, just so that you can really easily and safely access the sidewalk as you travel between different sides of the intersection.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions from members? Barbara, Bonnie, any questions?
I have a question.
Yeah, Amy.
The sailboat in the middle, shouldn't it match the direction of the sailboat at 10th Avenue? I mean, the orientation is going from Cordova north into, yeah, north on Cordova. But this other sailboat that's over in 10th Avenue, which direction does that sailboat fit? I think they should match, go in the same direction. That's just my opinion. Do you know what I'm saying?
That's a good point. I think they all go north, but I need to double check that.
I can't remember.
You have the 10th Avenue slide. Your first slide was the 10th Avenue.
Okay, it certainly appears to be lined up with
Okay,
east-west on 15th Street.
okay.
Am I reading that right?
Yes,
The
and I
boat is-
just checked the 10th Ave, and that's also the same orientation.
Good.
Okay.
Thank you. A great
Good
question.
point. Yeah, good
Yeah,
point.
we don't want them to look different.
Yeah, we don't want to confuse people. That's for sure.
Correct. Yep.
Okay, again, Barbara and Bonnie, any questions?
No, not for me.
Okay,
Thank you.
as long as we're assured that whatever the design is, it will not impact the landscaping in front of the Lauderdale Harbor sign, which appears not to do. We're perfectly fine, I think. Yes? There's plenty
Yeah,
of
we're
room
getting
there.
ready to fix that, the landscaping there anyway, too.
Right, so, good. So we're not impacting your landscaping. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
All right, well, I certainly appreciate your making the, responding to the comments that you've previously gotten about making these sidewalks and crosswalks more connected and more functional. I think that's a real, oh, there you go, much more functional that they are, now you can actually, you can walk with a person around them and see how they would work. So it's, I think it's marvelous. I don't know if anybody else wants to comment on whether it's marvelous or not, but this is the plan going forward. Can you tell us what your timetable is on moving forward, ladies?
Sure. So this was a big step for us, is meeting with the community and receiving your inputs. That's a really big piece of the puzzle. So this is our preliminary design plan. If there are no further comments, we're going to take this sheet right here with the red marker and bring that back to the designer to make those changes. Our project management staff will then need to prepare a bid package, which will take a few weeks from posting the bid and keeping it open for a certain amount of time. And because this project is over $100,000, it will need to go to commission. So we are looking at a likely commission date in February or March. Then it needs to go to legal, and then we have to award the project. And once all of that is done, we're likely looking at a construction start date in May.
Oh my
And
God.
it will likely take about 3 months just from notice to proceed for the contractor to be able to receive all of the materials that they need, mobilization and construction. So ideally, realistically, I should say, we are looking at a summer 2022 from about May to July, but that could fluctuate.
Okay, well, that's terrific. And that's ambitious, but we want to be ambitious, I suppose.
I
And
love
We're
it.
trying our hardest to get it done as soon as we can, but it could potentially change just with how long things take, but that's what we're looking at.
and are you pretty sure that we have sufficient funds in the capital budget to cover this?
Yeah,
Yes.
so and I'll let Karen, if Karen has anything.
Yeah, we think, this did come in higher. Those of you who were kind of through the history of this, we thought it would be less expensive, but with COVID and construction costs, the engineer's initial estimate is over $100,000. So, but we think we can do it within the CIP funds that we have.
Fantastic.
Good.
I think
Okay.
it looks,
I have a
I think it
question.
looks great.
Oh, wait,
This is-
Diana. Oh, okay, Cindy and then Diana.
This is a great improvement for our neighborhood and certainly for Cordova and 15th. I thank you both, Shelby and Karen, for doing all this work for our neighborhood and helping us and working with us. Thank you. We're looking forward to it.
Okay,
Very
Diana.
welcome.
I agree with Cindy, with what Cindy said. I do have one question, and this may not be the forum for it, so just tell me, Marilyn, if it's not. have they already thought about what the traffic patterns are going to be? Because I happen to live on 15th Street and it was a lot of traffic for us on 15th Street. I'm talking from Cordova west, correct? West?
Right. Mhm.
And it was very hard for us, even backing out of our own driveways there. And so I'm just curious if they've thought about that traffic pattern or how they're directing traffic for us, because it's a 3-month period when people are boating, and it seems like every boat's going down our street now and all the trucks.
That is part of the reason why the construction time will take longer, because we have to be sensitive to allowing access on 15th Street east of Cordova, as well as north on Cordova. So it'll have to be done in pieces instead of being able to close the whole thing. So that will definitely be an important part. We haven't gotten to exactly how that will work yet, but we are aware.
But I would like you guys to consider us, because we're always forgotten, going from Cordova and 15th Street west, which is by Boston Market. I'm in those townhouses there, and our board, I'm on the board there now. So now we're getting a lot more involved with everything.
Great.
Good.
So, thank
Excellent.
you.
Okay, are there any other
And I
questions?
know, just to add to that, I know Cindy also lives in that area and has been an advocate trying to promote other improvements we can make to that corridor. So it's definitely on our radar and the concerns there as well. And there's no
I'm sure
immediate
those-
projects, but we are aware.
So those are the speed bumps that we're wanting to, that we're going to start really pushing on our end. We're going to push at all the neighbors there. I'm going to ban them all up if I have to, but I want speed bumps.
Okay, that's on the list. That's on the list of projects. That's on our speed bump list. We have a speed bump list. You're on number 1. Bettina on 12th Street is number 2. And there's also a question of changing the speed humps on 15th Street from Cordova East. So there's a lot of discussion going on about speed humps. Okay?
Marilyn, can I ask one question about
Sure,
one of
Scott.
the other projects that we had talked about was sort of the intersection at Cordova and 17th Street, changing the lanes there in particular. And that was like our second choice or third choice. I know that. That's out right now. There's nothing going on with that intersection at 17th and Cordova, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll have to find additional ways to deal with that. Okay. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. If everybody has any more, nobody has any more questions for Karen and Shelby, we'll let them get back to their lives. Is that
No, this
okay?
Great.
All right. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you,
Thank
ladies,
you.
for coming.
Good to see
Okay.
everyone.
Good to see you.
Thank you.
Right.
Okay.
Bye.
And I noticed that Ryan Thomas has joined us, and this is off agenda, but I want to ask Ryan to unmute himself and introduce himself. Ryan?
Good evening. My name is Ryan Thomas. I'm the Community Outreach Director for Commissioner Sorenson for District 4. Marilyn, thank you so much for the invite. I'm very happy to be here. I am actually, I'll just give a little bit of background on me. So about 3 years ago, I was Commissioner Sorenson's intern for about a year. The past 2 years, I've been in our neighbor support team, assisting with our homeless initiatives. I'm a graduate of Broward College in April of this year, and then I'm currently at Florida Atlantic University within their public administration and disaster management degree program, and should be graduating from there next December. So.
Oh, Ryan, I did not realize that you have a background in homeless initiatives. So I'm going to put you on the spot right now. We have a real problem with homelessness. And
Yes, ma'am.
we all appreciate and understand the stresses and strains that the city has gone through vis-a-vis COVID in the last couple of year. And we understand that the situation has gotten worse because of the unavailability of facilities and services for homeless people. But
Yes, ma'am.
what's your outlook? Do you think we're going to make any progress in the next short term on this homelessness issue?
Yes, and I can speak on the programs for the past 2 years. Last year and this year, we had a program for homeless individuals to go into hotel rooms. I look at both of those programs as being successful. We just finished the last program. I believe it ended on Friday, and we found housing for a couple of individuals there. Those programs were successful in my book. I firmly believe, I try not to believe in no-win scenarios, but in regards to homelessness, it's a complex issue. Now, just a little bit of background on me. I was homeless. This was another reason why I wanted to join with the city a few years ago while I was actually living in Orlando. I'm actually from Orlando, Florida, and I was homeless in my car. And while I worked at a hotel, I slept behind a La Quinta Inn in my car until I got my feet up and was able to get actually worked up to sleep on a couch and at a friend's place and pay them rent for that. And then from there was able to finally get my own place. So I have been there and done that. I am a product of, you can get up, you can do what you need to if you have a little assistance. So there are some individuals that don't want assistance, and our homeless outreach officers who are out there are amazing individuals who have taken the time. They go out, they talk to those that want help and those that don't want help. They keep asking them. If they don't want help, there's nothing we can do at this time. There are some that say, you know what, I want help. So we have our community, I have a brain fart here. On Wednesdays, we have community court, which is through our Broward judicial section. So the individuals would go in there and meet with the judge if they have, actually it could be anything, if they've have things written by police officers and told them to show up to court, or even if they're just, hey, I'm here, I need help, things of that nature. So I think, and again, it goes back to also with housing and getting more affordable housing out there. I went with Commissioner Sorenson to an area, which I believe it's in Poinciana Park Civic Association's area, where they are building a new affordable housing apartment. And for me, that's important. And it's something that we should be striving for in the city. Speaking for myself, not as the commissioner, but it is important. But I do believe we can have success in that.
Okay, well, we'll be pressing on that because it's a very important issue for us. And even though we took the bus stop and the bus benches away from Southeast 17th Street.
Yes, ma'am.
We still have people who decided that, that's the best place for them to be. And, I don't, there but for the grace of God goes all of us. And, I don't begrudge them whatever comfort they can get, but this doesn't seem to be working. It really doesn't. I mean, even though you have these programs for putting people into hotels, like maybe you got 5 people out of 200 into a hotel, and that was good for them, and maybe that gave them the boost that they needed to get back in life again. But it seems to me woefully inadequate to the issue. So we're going to be pressing, and I know Ben has been very, very active in this area, and let's hope that working together we can move this ball forward, because the ball is stalled. That's all. The ball has stalled these last 2 years. And I'm anxious to see some new initiatives to get the ball bouncing again. Buddy, you look like you have something to contribute.
I wanted to say, the homelessness and mental health and drug issues. I mean, I think there's different things. I think we can all agree that there's some people that are homeless and they need some help situated, like yourself, Brian. You want to get in. There's other people out there. They're not one slice into it to get any help or anything. I mean, I've been traveling that road for years. I've unfortunately had cars break down on me on that intersection, and watched what actually goes on there while I was waiting to get fixed. I mean, they're waiting to make the next score. Then they go zip off into that little motel behind the Burger King, and they're over there by CVS where I take the dog to get groomed. And they're doing, this is not that those people there, you're not going to help them by setting them up with homes, because they're not going to be part of that at all. That's not, there's different degrees of the homeless. They have to be decided which ones are going to be fixed, and the other ones are going to have to be carted off for mental health or drug rehab, whatever. Sorry, that's just the way I feel. That's the way I see it.
Hi, Ryan. I'm very impressed by your story, and I certainly, commiserate with Buddy and Marilyn. I'm wondering though, and I agree with Buddy that, a lot of homelessness is because of drugs, alcohol especially, and mental illness. And I understand that there are many people that are homeless that don't care to be anything but homeless. But there are people that, do want or need a little help. So my question, I have two questions. One, for the people that are long-term homeless and prefer that, is there a team of social workers, a team that are working with these people, not necessarily to get them into housing, but to try to alleviate some of their mental health issues? Two, for the people that might be able to move into housing, I want more than just affordable housing. I want lots of housing that is provided at least for maybe a year, or some sort of time limit, even where these people don't have to pay or worry about rent, but they're able to get their feet on the ground. And again, they have services too. They have social workers that are helping them maybe find jobs and learn life skills again. So mine is, again, I see it as at least a two-part issue. Thank you.
So I think Buddy walked away, but Cynthia, thank you so much for your question. So to answer your question, the first one, no, there's not a team that is dedicated to that. You have the different service providers, like Henderson Behavioral Health, and I had a lunch with the chief of police, and we were talking about I brought up the idea of having a team, with that police officers don't just go out. It's actually a team of caseworkers and everything that could be with, emergency medical technicians or paramedics. And they're on a truck. I called it a strike team. I think it's called something else. Those things, along with our homeless intervention officers, we need to step it up. And with that is I can't give a good answer for that, because we haven't tried it, I don't think. And I think it's something that we could try. There is room for improvement, of course. I don't think Marilyn knows this, but I actually, about 2 Saturdays ago, actually rode my bike through your entire area. So every Saturday I go to each civic association and I ride my bike through the area. So I'm very familiar with the homeless individuals that you are speaking of, especially the ones that are standing on the corner of Federal and 17th Street that are asking for money. And it's different individuals that I've seen either driving by or when I was on my bike, and I was just kind of watching a little bit. So I actually sat there and watched for about 10, 15 minutes, just kind of seeing the area and what was going on. Because I'm always open.
What did you observe, Ryan, when you saw that? If you spent 17th and US 1, it's pretty much the same individuals. And there is a police presence that comes by, everyone shakes them down. They come over there and they clean and they do stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But if you stay there long enough, you'll see exactly what they're doing, with the money.
Yeah, so
Always
I
follow
noticed
the money, and that's what you'll.
the area behind the Burger King and that area over there is And even the park that is behind, I think it's behind in Maryland, correct me if I'm wrong, the one behind the hotel, I don't know if is that Harbordale Park or?
Yes, that's our park, yes.
Okay. And I noticed that area as well. There was some things going on. So it's something that, I have seen personally. And I noticed that Poinciana Park as well has their issues that are going on over there that I've spoken with their association. It needs, and they're going behind the alleyways there. They're doing it there. The commissioner and I actually drove through the entire alleyway to see, kind of the area, because they were saying that there was people back there, drug deals going on. So it's something that, is now with the chief, and I'm going to kind of give him room to improve on that. But yeah, we are very familiar with that area. And the second part of your question, Cynthia, sorry to kind of get back to yours. There is a opportunity again for improvement as far as getting, the chronic and then the individuals who want housing and the people that want housing. We could look at that, and it's something that I'm looking at other options. So I'm trying to take what I learned being on neighbor support side, giving the commissioner ideas so that he can better improve that. So we can look at that option as well to say, hey, what is there? And I think there is one of the organizations I just spoke to, because we had another young man who was trying to get there, was Archways. Now they helped get an individual who was homeless, and he was actually a former firefighter, and he just fell on hard times. I believe there was substance abuse. He was able to find an apartment, and he's actually doing well right now. So those cases are the ones that we need to strive to get. And even though I believe he was really, there was a lot behind there that he needed help with, but they were able to work with him, and he actually worked with Archways to get the help he needed. So.
Can I say something?
Sure.
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name's Amy. I worked for Henderson Behavioral Health for about 20 years, and I don't work there anymore. And we did have a homeless outreach team, which is what Cindy's talking about. And it was made up of different types of professionals. And all they did was go around Fort Lauderdale to where the homeless people hung out and try to engage them in mental health services and getting health services and with housing. And that was funded by the county back then. This is maybe 10, 15 years ago. And and we also had have a homeless center up in Lauderhill, which had a day drop-in center. And that was also funded by the county. And there were some other sources, but the funding was withdrawn for both of those programs. So, and they were effective. And since then, the population has only grown in Fort Lauderdale, and the problem has gotten worse as far as I can see. But it worked. And I can't remember, it was just a funding thing that they decided it wasn't a priority anymore. So it's a very good model, and it works.
Was that similar?
But if you don't have housing, if you don't have affordable housing, there's not much you're going to be able to do. And I was involved with the community court for a while, volunteering with that. And that was the consistent problem. They had other services that they could facilitate, but there wasn't housing. Even in the programs, there were long waiting lists.
Is that the Hawazinga Center? Is that still there? I used to volunteer there, and we'd feed the homeless. I mean, and what they would do is they'd bring the homeless in, the families that wanted to, rehabilitate themselves, whether they had children or not. And it was behind Andrews, somewhere in Andrews. I don't know if that's still there, but I used to volunteer there a lot.
I think you're talking about the hack, which is
That's in Sunrise.
Sunrise.
Yeah.
No, it was right by, I'm telling you, I used to go behind, oh God, it was somewhere off of Broward and Andrews. There was a whole center there. And I'm telling you, I used to go cook for them, feed them like 2 or 3 times a day. We did it, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and a lot of businesses were involved in it. I'll have to look into that.
Oh,
but
that's a kitchen, a community kitchen. I think that's still
They had
there. I was
housing,
there
though.
a few years ago.
Because the people stayed there, the families came off the street, stayed there, they found jobs for them, they, oriented them with, careers and, helped them. And I honestly, I haven't done it in years because I got pretty busy. I think the last time I did it was probably 6 years ago, maybe 7 max. So I was just wondering if that was still there.
Well, clearly from our old collective experience, intensive working with people who want to be helped,
Right.
including having a housing resource to serve them with, works. The question is always, funding and getting the supply of affordable housing. The city is just not doing that. I mean, the project that you're talking about, Ryan, the one over in Ponciana Park, it's 135 units. And, the income limits, and I've been talking to people over in that community who've been very disappointed that for a project that they thought was going to be really affordable, many of those apartments are going to people who have incomes of $75,000 and more. So it hasn't been the panacea that everybody thought it would be. Maybe 20% of those apartments are going to people who make less than $40,000 a year. Homeless people don't make $40,000 a year. My staff doesn't make $40,000 a year. Shame on me. I should be raising everybody's salary. So, I mean, you just need to be realistic about the amount of housing that we need, and the city has got to really step up in terms of their ability to produce affordable housing. So,
I'm sorry, Marilyn, on that same note, they are building all this affordable housing and building all these apartments, not even condominiums. And there's another whole story there. And you're right, they're not affordable.
No, they're not.
So it's like a gimmick to bring the developers to build, and then they're really not.
Okay.
That's exactly, the curve was supposed to be affordable housing, and that's how we passed that with Whole Foods, and it is not affordable housing. And it continues to bring developers in, and the lure of, yes, we're going to give you affordable housing, and then it doesn't happen.
Tina, what are you talking about the curve? The curve is the one over by Whole Foods?
That's right. And when that was originally, correct me if I'm wrong, because I was sitting there, and that was supposed to be affordable housing.
No,
Okay.
that came, for some reason, that was that was out there. And I remember a long time back where, I don't know if it was, I don't know who it was at our meeting, said absolutely not. That was,
Originally presented it. The reason it was passed was because they told the city it would be affordable housing. It would be for our firemen, our teachers,
Right, that's
Those
right. I remember that.
Yeah, you know what I think we're talking a lot of semantics here. When people say affordable,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yes.
yes, if it's affordable for a fireman makes a good salary, okay? A policeman makes a good salary in the city of Fort Lauderdale, but it's good that we have housing that they can afford. But the homeless situation now, we're not talking about that. We're talking about, at the most, we're talking about Section 8 vouchers and things like that. So hopefully they'll, yeah.
Which that list is so long because
Yeah.
veterans can't even get housing.
Nobody can get housing. So, and it's not getting any better, guys. I mean, the prices are just going higher and higher and higher. So
Right.
I don't envy you, Ryan, trying to continue to work on this, but anything we can do to help, you just, give us a call and we'll see if we can't work together on this, because it affects our community so desperately, and we need to figure out something to do.
Marilyn, can I ask?
Yes,
So
Scott.
that's the question I have, is what can I do as an individual? What should I be doing when I encounter a homeless person? Should I be staying far away, giving $1, handing out a card with phone numbers? What can I do as an individual? And then, to your point, what can we do as a neighborhood association, to help or hurt? Buddy, should you be feeding them, or should should we be staying away from things like that? I just have never really heard what I can do or what we can do as an association to sort of help with this problem? I'd love to kind of hear the answer on that. And then also as a landlord in with, several properties in Harbordale, or at least I was, there are a number of illegal units in Harbordale, right? Small rooms and stuff like that that were cut off from buildings years ago that the city, would fine me as a landlord if I rented them out. But there are a number of affordable housing units, I think, around still that the city wouldn't look at as a unit because they're have antiquated laws and rules on, what you can rent and what you can't rent, what the size needs to be. Perfectly acceptable, for a homeless person would be happy to rent some of these, but no, that's illegal. And so I think there's some issues there too on, the city doesn't know how to define and has too many restrictions on, what could be an affordable housing unit, just to bring up that point.
Something to think about, Ryan. This is not a Fort Lauderdale issue. This is an issue all over. This is like the issue of, accessory units and illegal basements and things like that. So
Yeah, grandmother quarters. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Something to think about on that. But I know people in Harbordale who have been landlords who have been taking, upon themselves to help out people. But, and the programs that you're talking about with the community court and Ben's programs, there was a whole series of programs there, or aid for landlords who would take in homeless people.
Right.
Do you remember that, Amy? Yeah, and they would
I
sponsor the
those
person.
meetings.
Yeah, they would take the person and they would make the connection between the person and the landlord, and they would be responsible for the rent and the person, and making sure that the person was doing okay, because you need some assurance. You can't just open up your property to, any old person. And, that showed a lot of promise, and we were going down that road until this whole COVID thing struck.
Right.
So I'm hoping that we get some rejuvenation in some of those programs.
I know that you're talking, the Section 8 and all that. I know near me on 16th Street, 15th Street, we have some of that Section 8 where we're, and I know there's been issues where they've actually been doing things that they weren't supposed to be doing in those units, and there was all those issues going on because I know that our board had to get involved in one across the street from us. So yeah, oversight would be very important on that. And then as far as helping a true Section 8, like what they're mentioning here, everyone's mentioning, a real true affordable housing to help those single mothers, single dads, and people, people that really want to get off the streets, even not just the single moms, but we've got the people on the streets that want to get off. As far as what you said, Scott, for helping them, I am going to tell you, I'm the first one that likes to give them food. I was at Publix the other day. I had someone come up to me and I felt really bad. And so I ran in and bought them food. I wouldn't give them money, but I ran in and bought them the food and left, like I wouldn't even give them the receipt so they can't return it. I have seen where they've yelled at people, cursed at people, thrown cups of coffee at people on the home right over here. And you're right, it is the same people on 17th Street. Me personally, I'm not going to even give them I'm not doing anything for anyone on the street. So call me hard, but I don't want to get hurt.
Ryan, can I ask you one more quick question? Are we, the city of Fort Lauderdale, reaching out and looking at other communities, that are similar to us in size or with the homeless situation, a similar situation? Are we working with other communities to exchange best practices, to see what is successful in other communities around the country?
So great question, Cynthia. And Scott, I'll get back to your original question, if I may. So community court actually came from that. City of New York has a program which is similar to community court. That's where that program came. So it's all about collaboration and innovation. And yes, there are programs within the United States that we can look at, even within the world, that we can look at to try to see, hey, can we take that and tweak it a little bit and see if it works here in Fort Lauderdale? homeless intervention administrator, which is Angela Blaine. So she just finished up with the program. They're finalizing everything, and she wants to get back to doing her original stuff so she can kind of get her focus back on doing these programs. And I, as an intern, was able to kind of, I did the research for Community Cord. And when we were first, pitching it out, and Ben had wanted this, he was one of the leaders to kind of say, hey, we want to get this going. There are programs out there. I'm always willing to try anything. And I think Ben is as well. So the research just needs to go into it and see, what is out there, what can be used, and what can be brought here to Fort Lauderdale after tweaking that.
So can you answer Scott's first question, and then we have to move on, because maybe we should have a longer discussion with you about homelessness. This was just supposed to be, hello, Orion, thank you for joining us.
It's
nice
okay.
to meet you.
Quite all
you
right.
know what? Come to the party on December 3rd, and we'll have plenty of beer and we'll talk about it. But Scott, answer Scott, and then we'll move on.
Yes. So my information, I did put it in the chat, everyone. So that's my office phone, my cell phone, as well as my email. I am always open to hear everything. If you have any ideas or something comes on your plate, please reach out to me, and I will be more than happy to come to the party. I'll be more than happy to come back and talk further about this and ensure that I have the correct staff with me so they can work with me to answer your questions. Now, Scott, finally getting to your question, sir. That's a hard one, because if it was me, and speaking for myself, I don't give money to the homeless. If it was me being out there, and to be quite frank with you, if, let's just say today I lost my job, Ben says, you're done. My first thing be to go to Kinko's, to get my resume, to get a box of those, and hit the street and be out there, not asking for money, but as saying, hey, listen, here is my resume. It's hot, but call me. Let me know what you have. As a civic association, I think there's more than just saying, they're saying, hey, you know what, we can get a food drive together, or to say and give to, a particular organization here within, Fort Lauderdale, Feeding South Florida is one of those. I personally wouldn't put myself, especially today, in that spot where you have the kids in the car to get hurt. And enabling them and giving them money is just enabling them to stay there, to stay where on 17th Street, is how I see it personally. Just speaking for myself, not speaking for the commissioner, just for myself. I wouldn't put myself in that position. We have the resources out there to at least attempt to try to help them. I know that there are families that are out there sleeping in their cars tonight, that, we are trying to help, that need that additional assistance. But I think we can do it in better ways, to say, as a civic association, we get together, on Thanksgiving, or these, even not even Thanksgiving, we said one weekend, hey, listen, and I personally will come out and help pack food, and we give it to an organization, call them out. They will come pack it on their truck, and I guarantee that food will get used, is how I see it. I think, Scott, does that answer your question?
Well, sort of. It wasn't an easy question. I know I set you up there a little bit, but I think the people, especially in a meeting like this where you've got just the general public, basically want to know. I've never been directed, don't give, or is there some, kind of what is it that we can hear from you guys that say this works or this doesn't work? Back to Cindy's point of, are there best practices out there that we should be adopting? As individuals, as a civic association, as a city, that can help with this. So, to your point, and to Buddy's point before too, handing out money to folks never seemed quite right to me, but people do it all the time. And should we be encouraging that or discouraging that kind of thing?
And I think there's some areas of the city that panhandling is not allowed. Or if it's here, or I maybe think of another city, don't quote me on that. I would have to, kind of step back and say, let me research that. as far as the best practices or something, now that I kind of know and kind of heard everyone and what we can do something, we can get that, we can kind of start thinking, hey, the civic associations want to do something, what can we do to make sure everyone is included? So that is something that I will take from you. And if you can allow me to research and see what I can come up with as far as doing that and what we can do, and maybe including the associations. And Marilyn, I'm more than happy to put that on the agenda for Friday, seeing what the other association presidents say to that and see what we as District 4 can do. I can't speak for the other districts, but we in District 4, what can we do and abide by this best practices together?
Okay, well, that's a very good idea, Ryan. And to explain to people what he's talking about, every 2 weeks, Commissioner Sorenson has a meeting of all the Civic Association presidents in District 4. And we bring up issues like this. And I think homelessness goes across all of our even Rio Vista has a homeless problem, believe it or not. So yes, I would appreciate if you would put that on the agenda, and we should talk about the things that we are doing. And I know we're doing a lot of things. I know we're doing food drives, and we do clothes drives, and we do, it may seem like things aren't happening and help isn't being provided, but I know myself, I've done at least three things this year dealing with either clothes or food or services for the homeless. So it's not like we're not doing anything. It's like we're all sort of doing it ourselves, and we're not putting it together and focusing. So yes, let's put that on the agenda and give a talk on that. And then we really have to close this one up, and maybe we'll have a whole longer discussion on this at another meeting, because we have people waiting for another presentation. Diana, one last question.
Yeah, no, it's just a comment to add to your meeting. When you have this meeting on Friday, if you can also, what Scott brought up is really important, is what should we do as individuals driving in our cars or walking out of Home Goods or what Publix or, wherever we're at? What is really the appropriate thing to do? Because Ryan gave me a whole different point of view here as to what would be appropriate of what. So that would be a good thing.
We'll do that. We'll do that. And we'll get back on that. Okay. Thank you very much for joining us, Ryan.
Thank you, everyone.
Bet you didn't know this was going to happen, right?
No, ma'am. But thank you, everyone, and have a great evening.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
All right. Our second people who are going to speak to us tonight are Glenn and Laura. They're going to be talking to us about solar program, solar neighbor program, which is, well, I'm not going to explain what it is. I'm going to let them explain what it is. So Laura, Glenn, do you need the ability to be hosting and doing a presentation, or are you just going to speak?
Well, I think Laura may have a presentation.
Laura, okay, hold on, Laura. You start, Glenn. I'll do with Laura.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'll just briefly introduce. I'm the sustainability manager for the city of Fort Lauderdale. We've been working on a number of initiatives to bring more renewables to the city of Fort Lauderdale, cut down our carbon footprint. In one opportunity going on right now is the Broward Solar Co-op, which is countywide. We've been trying to do outreach to our HOAs and civic associations and get the Fort Lauderdale participation up. I think right now we're about 36% of the co-op, and we're hoping to get more members. There's one more month, and I'll let Laura tell you all about what the co-op is and how it works.
Thank you so much, Glenn, for the introduction. Thank you so much for having me here tonight. I am with Solar United Neighbors. So we are a national nonprofit. We are vendor neutral. We don't have any relationships with any specific vendors. We're just like your friendly nonprofit here to provide support and education for those interested in going solar. And so we're interested in, we're a community of people building a new energy system with rooftop solar at the cornerstone, helping people go solar, join together and fight for their energy rights. And so like Glenn mentioned, we have a solar co-op open in Broward County right now. I'll go over a little bit about what that is, but a little bit about our work here in Broward County. We've done 4 co-ops since 2017. We've helped close to 1,000 people, educated close to 1,000 homeowners through information sessions and emails, helped 117 homeowners go solar, and that has resulted in 2.4 million of economic investment and has created 18 jobs, and that's 1.2 megawatts of installed capacity. And then just statewide, just a little bit more impact, 20 plus megawatts of distributed solar, over $86 million of bill savings since 2015. So lots of savings in solar. We have a really great solar resource here in Florida. We could be using this sunshine to power our homes and even to power our transportations. The co-op is free to join and there's no obligation of going solar. We provide additional support for homeowners as well as small businesses that might be interested in exploring the option of going solar. Right now we have 143 participants. Basically how it works is we open up a co-op open to a geographic region, and then people can join. We take a look at the roof to make sure that they have they're a good candidate for solar, making sure that they have enough sunshine, the correct orientation, things like that. And once we have 30 co-op members, we issue a competitive request for proposals for installers interested in servicing the co-op on behalf of the co-op. We review all of the information, we compile all of that, but our group of co-op members are the ones that select the installer. So that has already started. And so if you join the co-op, you get a customized proposal based on co-op pricing. Because it is a group process, it's kind of like a bulk buying project. There's additional savings. So anybody interested can join up until November 30th. So I hope you all can help us spread the news. We have an info session where we go over solar technology, solar economics, the co-op process, and we answer live questions on November 17th. So like I mentioned, these are some of the benefits from the co-op, support throughout the entire process, from us, but also as an unbiased advocate, but also from neighbors in our greater community of solar homeowners, best value on installation. So it's 100 plus neighbors. It's a group decision process, like I just described for the selection of the installer. The whole process takes 5 to 8 months, but individually it takes, the longest part is after someone decides to go solar, goes through engineering and permitting. The installation itself is very quick, can be 1 to 2 days or a few days if it's a big system. And each individual homeowner signs their own individual contract. And like I said, there's no cost of joining the co-op. I'm gonna play this super quick, let's see if it works. Really quick video on how the co-op works. Let me know if you can hear the sound once it starts.
What if you could get all the information you need to go solar from a nonprofit with your best interest in mind? You can. By joining our solar co-op, you'll get solar installed alongside your neighbors with expert help from Solar United Neighbors and at a discounted group rate. When a solar co-op launches in your area, you can attend a free information session to learn all about solar energy, how it works, options for financing, and what it's like to go solar in the co-op. Or if you prefer to learn on your own, check out the resources on our website. They're free too. When the co-op has around 30 members, Sun solicits proposals from solar installers in your area. We confirm they have proper licensing, good references, and quality offerings for equipment and warranties. A committee of co-op members then chooses a single company to install everyone's systems. You'll work directly with the installer to go solar with our support throughout the entire process. The installer will schedule a site visit with you and then draw up a customized proposal based on the co-op's group rate. Once you sign the contract with the installer, they'll work with you to schedule your installation. They'll also handle the permitting and interconnection requirements. Your new solar panels will make getting your electric bill each month a lot more fun. Sounds pretty good, right? So how do you join? The solar co-op is free and open to anyone who wants to go solar in the designated co-op area. You can find those details on the co-op website. Joining the co-op doesn't commit you to going solar. Take the first step toward having the sun pay your electricity bills. Sign up for the co-op today.
Cool.
So that's a really great summary on how the whole process works. We have one more info session, like I mentioned, on November 17th. So people that are interested in learning more can go to solarnetneighbors.org/Broward and click on the events tab, and you can see the upcoming info session. Like I said, lots of savings with solar. This is a little bit of an older electric bill, but this person, you know, was paying $110, and then after installing solar was paying $9. So lots of savings. And then for those of you that are interested, or for people that are interested in electric vehicles, as a rule of thumb, if you have solar, you're basically charging your EV for a penny per mile. So that can greatly reduce the return of investment on your solar system. So please help us promote the co-op, solarnetneighbors.org/Broward. And so to make sure that your residents know that this is available, this is the last month for recruitment. And I apologize if this is a little bit out of date, but the next one is November 17 at 6 p.m. And it's under the events tab of the co-op. So I'm gonna stop here, and I'm happy to answer any questions if anybody has any questions.
I have a question. Is
Yes.
it only for single family homes, or is it for condominiums as well?
That's a great question. So single family homes or townhomes, townhomes and condos are kind of like on a case-by-case scenario, just because the rights to the roof might be different. But if your condo is interested in joining, they can join, and we can take a look on a case-by-case scenario and see if they can go solar. Usually for multifamily, unless each unit has rights to the roof, they're looking at installing solar to offset common use areas like hallways or a clubhouse or things like that.
Okay, so it's mostly for single family homes then. It's largely for
Yes,
single family.
mostly for single family homes, small businesses, but condos can definitely sign up and we can take a look and see if it works or not, but that is a little bit more complicated.
Is there a solar condo, a solar co-op in the Harbordale area that we could join, or would we need to make a whole new one?
No, you can join the Broward County Co-op. So you can join that one. It's open for anybody in Broward County. So anybody that you know countywide can join.
Okay,
Friends,
very good.
neighbors.
Anybody else have any questions? Yes.
Yeah, that does, since maybe you know my background, and Laura might be interested in this too. I retired from Florida Power and Light last year from their Next Era Energy section, which is really serves outside of Florida. And I was a renewable energy developer, and I did solar mostly around the country. So I have a lot of insight on how FPL thinks and what they do. And so my first question is, how are you guys working with Florida Power and Light, since they would be the off-taker of all of this solar power? Is it a close relationship or a conflicting relationship? How does that work?
Yeah, so basically the installer works with FPL for the interconnection agreement. So after someone installs solar, they basically get a meter change called the bidirectional meter that allows electricity to flow from the customer and back. And so right now the net metering is 1-to-1 credit, gets rolled over until the end of the month. So there's usually, no issues with that.
Okay, so it's not a co-op from the fact that if I put solar on my roof of my single family home, it would be really a contract between myself and FPL, not between the co-op and FPL, for example.
No, so the contract is actually between the homeowner and the solar installer.
The installer, right? But that would be done.
And then the homeowner just signs some paperwork for the interconnection agreement, and the installer handles or helps to walk through that process of the homeowner with the homeowner.
So if I wanted to own and operate my own system, that's really not what you guys are involved with then?
Well, when you install a system, you go through the installer.
Right.
For a residential, for a residential, we are there to provide support. So if people have any questions, technical issues, all of that, we're there to provide support, but we are not the installer.
Right, but you could lease equipment from an installer basically, or I could purchase my own equipment and just have someone install it, and then they kind of leave the party. So, so do you know?
Co-op, so with the co-op is usually people buy the equipment and do the installation through the installer.
Okay, so then in that case, then I don't know if the contract would be between FPL and the installer. It sounds like the homeowner alone would be there, but okay. I am building a single family home right now, and it won't be, and I'm provisioning for solar on the roof and, making sure that that's going to be something I can do in the future. That probably is at least 12 to 15 months away. Should I get involved with the co-op now to sort of plan for that, or how would that work?
That's a great question. So the co-op is limited for a certain amount of time, just because the installer is able to provide that pricing, for X amount of months.
Right.
So if you know that you're maybe installing solar in the future, then maybe just keep an eye out for the next co-op. But if you wanted to learn more or anything, you're welcome to join an info session.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
So if I understand this correctly, what the co-op is doing is it is simply negotiating a better price for the installation, because it is negotiating for a number of owners as opposed to everybody going out and finding their own installer. Is that what you do?
Yeah, so that's definitely part of what we do. And then the second thing is, one of the really big benefits is when we do the competitive request for proposal, instead of a homeowner having to walk through and figure out what to ask and everything, we do a really thorough review of those proposals. Even though the co-op members are the ones that select it, we put that competitive bid out on the street. We review all of the information and are there to facilitate the process, if that makes any sense.
So it's
making sure that all the licenses are up to date. We look at the warranty for the equipment, and all of that information is available and very valuable, especially for someone, solar is still a new technology, so there's a lot of value in that education and that consumer support. We also do project management, so we meet with the installer regularly. If a homeowner has any questions, they can always reach out to us. We just provide information. Like I said, we don't have a relationship. We don't have any preferences on the installers. And so we also make sure that everything's moving along in a timely manner and in a good way.
Any other questions, Scott?
Yeah, just one more, Marilyn. This is very helpful, especially for aren't familiar with it. I think this is a great idea. I would want to ask one more question of Laura. What about storage? I wouldn't put a system in without a storage system associated with it. How are you guys looking at or working with storage systems?
Yeah, so you can also add storage through the co-op. You could also add an EV charger through the co-op as well, if you were interested. So we focus on solar, but those other things are available as well.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Laura and Glenn. We have a limited number of single-family homes in our community, but I will put this information out on our website and address people to go and look at it. Unfortunately, we have also probably a larger number of small condominiums and large condominiums. So there's really not, not really something that's going to be very good for them or as good for them. Let me put it to you that way. So I'll put this out on our webpage and see if we can't drum up some interest in increasing solar. I know that there are several people in our neighborhood who have gone solar, and they've gone solar for a number of years, and they're very very enthusiastic about it. I don't know if you guys know, Vicki Eccles has a huge solar array on her roof, and she's had it for a number of years. And she says she's probably electricity neutral in the summertime for her whole house. So it's very good for her. All right, thank you very much, Glenn and Laura, for joining us. Laura,
Thank you.
can you give me back my screen?
Thank you.
I don't think I have to
Yes.
ask you to give
Yes,
me
yes,
back.
I'm trying to.
Thank you, thank you.
There you go.
This will stop screen sharing. Do you want to continue? Yes, continue. Okay. So let's get back to where we are, ladies and gentlemen, because it's getting late and I want to get the rest of this meeting done. The rest of our agenda is very, very quickly. I guess we don't need to do a discussion about in-person meetings at this point because we don't have a hell of a lot of people here. So if we're going to talk to people about whether or not we should have in-person meetings, I think I'll probably do it in a survey of all the membership, okay? Membership drive starts now for 2022 because anybody who joins in December automatically is signed up for the upcoming year. So that's the way we do it. If we get new members in December and sometimes we nudge it into November, they were already members for the next coming year. The most important part on this remaining agenda is election for 2022 Board of Directors. We're actually not having an election this year. It's not required because we have a full slate and there are no contested positions. So I just wanted to, at this meeting, announce that the 2022 Board of Directors will be as follows. Marilyn Mamano, President, thank you very much. Happy to go another year, maybe just one more year. Cindy will be the Vice President. Diana is our Secretary. Tom is our Treasurer. And our board members are now Pam, Ray, Amy, and new members, Scott and James. Thank you very much, Scott and James, for stepping up and taking the, and Heather, I forgot, there's Heather as well. Thank you very much for adding your names to this. So that's really the last of the most important things, other than that our holiday meeting and party is on December 1. And Buddy isn't here, but he's agreed to host our meeting at Southport Row Bar. So we're gonna have our party there, and that should be really, really nice, having our party at the Row Bar this year. And we're planning on our Southeast 10th Avenue celebration for January 5th. We're starting to work with the police department and the city to get that all together, and it will be held on Southeast 10th Avenue around Southeast 14th Court, probably. So save the date of January 5th for our celebration on 10th Avenue, and save the date for December 1 for our holiday party meeting at the Southport Raw Bar. And other than that, unless anybody has something they want to add, Tricia, you're new to the meeting. Is there something you want to talk about the neighborhood that we haven't been focusing on?
No, I really learned a lot today as far as the intersection on Cordova and 15th. I was really interested to find out where we were on that because I did get the little ballot form, and it seemed like there was a lot of back and forth as to what the outcome was going to be. I think you guys went with the right choice. The homelessness situation has been here since I've lived here for the past 8 years. I don't know what we can do to change that, but I learned a lot today, and I really thank you guys for allowing just regular old Harbordale residents in to sit on these things.
Well, we're
I don't
happy
really
to
have any questions. I learned a lot, and it was really, really great to be on here today.
Good. Well, we hope we see more of you. And yes, Cindy?
We encourage every Harbordale, renters, leaseholders, owners, everybody in Harbordale, if you're just passing through to visit a relative for the weekend, join the Harbordale Civic Association.
Harbordale.org. You can join online. It's
Civic associations have power.
Right.
I sent a check-in like when I first moved in here, like in 2014 maybe, and I never heard anything back. So I just didn't know where my membership sat, and I just.
Oh, okay. Well, we've got a really good system now. Everything is done online. You can pay with PayPal. You can pay with a credit card. Harbordale.org. Go there and join, and then you can come to the party on December 1st.
That sounds like fun. It sounds like fun.
Cool.
Marilyn,
Well,
can I
Marilyn, one more new business.
yes, new business.
Yes.
Yes, you have
Cindy,
something for new
right.
business.
Wait. I just wanted to piggyback on the party quickly. One, Marilyn, I think let's start putting invitations out so that people know about it, like every
yeah.
week, remind them. But
Save
also,
the date. Yeah.
yeah, do we want to think about maybe doing a food, people can bring in some food like Ryan? was
Yeah,
talking about?
we should think about, every year we do
food
something.
drive?
We do Broward Pantry, we do something. Let's start thinking about that.
Also, not to do with the party or anything, but if anybody has any books, especially children or young adult books that they want to donate to our little library, you can either bring them to me or just put them into the little library at our park on Miami Road, where we depleted our books, but thank goodness for Julie Kurtz, who's been bringing us some, and she's brought us a lot in Spanish books as well, so that's great. But again,
So
if anybody,
Cindy, one year we did at the Christmas party, we collected books.
Yeah,
So let's do
yeah.
that at the party as well. We'll collect books.
all right,
Okay?
then let's
All
put that
right.
on the invitation, and yeah,
We'll definitely do that. Scott, you had something under new
Yeah,
business?
real quick,
Yeah.
totally a new subject. The city and now the mayor in particular is really beginning to look, specifically at this tunneling project of the
Yes.
Teslas going underground.
Mhm.
And then there's a future talk about, going to the port and going to the airport. I want to just point out that Harbordale is kind of in the middle of all of that. And that I think that I want to know if I should get involved personally with it, or if it's something that the Civic Association would support. I think we're a great opportunity for Harbordale to get put on the map. So I would like to be involved, whether it's with the Civic Association's blessing or personally with, the discussions on where this might be going and how we could benefit from that. So however, I know you're more connected with the mayor and things going on like that, but I think we should play a part in that. I think we could be, a stop along the way. I
No,
think it would
Scott, let me
Yep.
give you a little background on that. The Elon Musk tunnel from downtown to the beach
Yep.
bypasses us entirely. Has
Yeah,
nothing
I
to
know
do with
that.
us. Okay.
It's the second phase of that they're
Let-
beginning to talk about now.
Okay, well, I haven't heard of a second phase of that. I'm not even sure they're gonna get to the first phase. But for sure, if the second phase has any impact whatsoever on us, if they want to go from downtown to the convention center,
Yes.
absolutely. But at this point, we have really nothing to, we are not impacted by the proposal from downtown to Los Olas,
No,
via Los Olas to the beach.
Yeah, no, I understand that. It's really the second phase, and now that I've seen it in print and they're beginning to talk about it, so
Okay.
I think we should be involved early. And so just kind of keep your ear out if you
I will.
would. And
I'll keep my
and-
ears open. Okay,
figure
if
out how we can be involved.
If I hear anything, it'll definitely be on the email list. How's that, Scott?
Thank you.
All right, everybody. Thank you very much. It's 8:30. That's an hour and a half. That's enough community stuff for one night. Again, save December 1st, and we'll be sending out invitations. And thank you all for coming. Good night.
good night.
Good night.
Drink tickets available for the party.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.